want to hear you go, too. I want to hear you go, brr, brr. She's filming you. So make noise. Be real loud. Okay, but you gotta be real loud. Okay? What's that? What? Hey. Hey. We want to hear you go, whir. You're right through the mud puddle. Coming this way.
Monday, so I came here on a Tuesday night, and so I'm hiking up, and I knew something was wrong. Just the way his truck was, the way the condo was 94 degrees. There's nobody in it. Right. You know, so he came in, he warmed up, he had lunch, and he took off. And the way he was dressed, it was a beautiful day. It was like 60 degrees and no snow. But when I was hiking up the trail, I figured if something happened to him, he was going to be sitting up, slumped over. That's what I envisioned in my head if something had happened to him. And he was right here, right across here, and the snow was about this high. The only way I knew it was him is because when the snow came down, his pant leg was right here, and I saw his jeans. All the memories, just like one after another, boom, 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 and all the way down the trail. It was just all this stuff that I don't normally think of.
Yeah.
With Tad back in the day. I've never experienced something like that before. And all the memories I had either buried or forgotten. And it was good to have them all like right there.
Yeah.
And just kind of relive them again.
You know today's his birthday, right?
Oh, what is it today? Mm-hmm. I forgot if you said it was Monday or Tuesday.
Happy birthday,
You
Dad.
watchdog.
My father was Tad Martin Johnson. He was an alcoholic. He passed away in November of 2009 while hiking in the Colorado mountains. The question that always lingered with me was why? Why did he drink so much? As I grew older, I began to notice my father's drinking problem. Vodka was his vice, and mixing it with his medications for depression, bipolarism, high blood pressure was not a good idea. They enhanced his intoxication and made for an often embarrassing scene. Our relationship was tarnished. I respected him for everything he had done for me, but was crumbling for what he was putting me through. I would never want my friends around and would always try to be out of the house so I wouldn't have to deal with his careless behavior.
It was pretty quick when we first met that you would come over to our house, and it ended up, I mean, it felt like you never want to go home. And, I mean, it never, like, you know, was a bother to us. Like, you were just there, and you just kind of fucking stayed there, and you cleaned up after yourself, which was really cool. My mom was like, you stay as long as you want, but when you drive over on your moped, you stay for almost, like, 3 or 4 days sometimes.
Decide na siya na layuan ko na raw siya dahilan sa hindi na raw siyang gagaling sa pagka-alcoholic.
I've known all different kinds of drunks, and as far as your dad, he was just, like, in my opinion, an easygoing drunk. Like, he wasn't violent. There weren't any outbursts that I noticed, you know. In front of us, he's just an easygoing guy that kind of had his drunk ramblings.
Mm-hmm. I think
never anything extreme.
I think that's why it was so hard. Like when I was talking earlier, like how it was hard to tell that he was a drunk because he wasn't like your typical angry like drunk that you see in the movies.
So it could have
like,
been more him rambling was just specifically maybe he's a rambler.
And I will say this about him too, like you never question like his love for you and you know
for sure.
So,
dirt biking, you know, the dude just loved to watch you dirt bike, man. Like
that was like his biggest.
That was his passion. Was like watching you dirt bike, and like I knew that 6th grade.
He felt he didn't give Tracy enough time. He didn't want to make the same mistake twice. And when I could see him really emotionally involved, it was usually been always related to you or your success?
Nagsimula ang pag-inom-inom niya ng nagtatrabaho na siya sa US Steel. Umiinom siya ng alak gabi-gabi. At pagkatapos, hindi siya makatulog pagka hindi siya umiinom ng alak.
I noticed he was first an alcoholic when he was quite young. I know that came about because he was dealing with some issues with his dad.
Growing up, just looking at him, I used to always tell myself, there is no way I will ever be like him. I wasn't gonna drink. I wasn't gonna turn into an alcoholic. I was gonna do everything I can. I wasn't gonna raise my kids in that kind of environment.
But when he came here, he ended up drinking, and he was still on medications, which was a complication of his drinking. But I remember him drinking and getting so drunk that I don't know what happened, but he fell or something in my bathroom and ended up hitting his head on either our toilet or our tub. And I heard a big bang, but I didn't know what happened, so we knocked to get into the restroom, and when I walked in, he had cut his head or something on our tub or toilet. So that was my last memory of my dad drinking. And that was also the last time that I saw him alive.
I don't blame my brother. The majority of it, I blame my father just in how we were raised and how my father always made us feel never, ever good enough. And I know that affected my brother, it affected my sister, and it affected me.
As a child, we really didn't have a relationship with him. I didn't have, I was full of hate. I wanted to look up to him. But with this issue, I was embarrassed to introduce him to any of my friends. I didn't want him around.
All of my memories of him include him drinking. So I don't think I ever knew he was anything but an alcoholic.
After your dad was back here and he stopped completely drinking, and his dad wanted to make sure that with the toxicology and everything that there was nothing in his system, and there wasn't a thing.
The cause of death was officially heart failure. Contributing cause would have been the adverse effect that alcohol had done to his body.
I remember we were at our house, and then I was in the kitchen, actually, I think maybe letting our dog out. And then all of a sudden, my mom, I hear her screaming, and of course, before that, there was a, kind of talk of, he wasn't around or anything like that. So kind of when she screamed, I thought something, might have happened. So I remember being downstairs by our back door at the time. She kind of came down and, was screaming it because she was pretty hysterical, and then me and my brother kind of, dropped crying just because I never had anybody in my family die. So that was really something crazy.
Yeah, you've made it very far for going through all that as a young kid and seeing all that. I think your mom did a really good job too of kind of not keeping you from it, because you obviously knew, but I think that she was a support system to lean on. Obviously, she's your mother, but she wasn't an alcoholic. She wasn't drinking, so you had her to kind of talk to. But
I think she was very afraid that she was thinking it was hereditary and that I was going to become an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was something that made her very self-aware and like worried and wanting to look out for me and make sure that that never happened, you know. And
go back that way and slide. Go real fast towards Dick's house and hit your brakes a little.
I felt for a long time that I was more of his friend than I was his daughter. Like, I feel like I was very mature at a really young age, and he didn't really have a lot of friends and people he could confide in. And so at a really young age, I almost counseled him or talked to him as like as much as I could, an unbiased person that was just trying to help him cope or deal with his issues.
He was like a mellow alcoholic. Like, I never saw him get violent except for one time, and he was devastated himself, because when he talked to me about it the next day, I don't even know if it was the next day, it could have been days later, but he said he was so sorry because he didn't even remember it. But I was 8 months pregnant with my son Julian, and he pushed me down the stairs. I know he would have never done it. I know he didn't mean to.
He was having difficulty understanding his dad and the fact that his dad was gay. And his way of dealing with it was to race on the race motocross and that. It would have been okay if he had, I mean, it was a good thing that he was working with Tim as far as, and Tim's folks as far as learning to do motocross, but it was not a good thing because Tim's parents, all due respect, were great alcoholics, and they offered him beer every time he went, and he was too young to have it. And when you start that young, then it's extra hard to, deal with it.
He tried. He really did a good job of trying, and it was him trying to get away from the alcoholism that actually led to his death, which is kind of ironic.
But I know that when he came out to Indiana, and he was there for that 1 year, that one of, and this is too bad, but he actually was raped by the man, the lover of his dad. And that just blew things apart for his dad's relationship and him, because he just could not get over that. And he didn't, because he really wasn't gay.
Evidently, Tad was curious, and Eric was quite willing to be the tutor. According to Eric, in a sadly candid mood, he said that he had had sex with Tad on several occasions, that it was definitely mutual. He didn't deny. I felt at the time that your dad was quite welcome to explore that sexuality, but it shouldn't have been with my partner. If you knew Tad and you knew Eric, I think you would agree that there's no way Eric would have raped Tad. Tad was stronger than Eric.
Yeah. Especially at that point in time, it's like that's not something like whatever 13 to 18-year-old is like want to openly admit and talk about. It just did, because everybody's like, your parents are working hard and they're not alcoholics, and like that was something I was envious. Actually, Jake, like Romy and Kit, like
The relationship that they have.
The whole
with each
relationship,
other.
even now, dude. Like,
I knew that when you were coming over.
I like. I really respected your parents for the relationship that they have together, and like with you and your sisters and your brother. I just, it was always something that I wanted to be around and like have in my family, and I didn't have it. So it was probably part of the reason like I always wanted to be like around you, because like you guys had such a collaborative family, and I didn't